Hey guys, what's up? Hey Raven, how you doing? You're doing well. I'll talk to you in a minute. Hope you're doing good. All right. Yeah, guys, we got some stuff going on I want to talk about, and yeah, and just so everybody understands, I'm gonna try, like I said before, my previous video, my previous live stream. I'm gonna try to respect everybody's time a little bit more because I did get some pretty valid criticisms that I talked about briefly. I kind of squirrel off. I kind of give a lot of shout outs, that kind of thing. I'm going to not do that at the beginning of the video anymore. Um, Morning, Stephanie, and everybody else here. Like that right there, that's okay to do. But as far as me going into, hey, I get it. All right. That was a very valid criticism I received from multiple people. I understand because I don't like to watch people's videos either that all they do is just sit there and do stuff like that, or they'll start their live stream and they like wait and just talk to everybody in the chat for like 5 minutes, and it's like dead quiet. It's just not, it doesn't seem very natural, number one, and it just doesn't seem like it's very entertaining at all. And let's face it, even though I'm doing space weather, it has to be somewhat entertaining or nobody's going to watch. So I do take your guys' criticism, especially when it's respectful. I do take it to heart, and I do try to improve. So I am going to give all the space weather stuff at the beginning, and if people want to stick around after, we can. If not, we'll just end the video in the live stream. But with that being said, let's jump into it. So guys, yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time. Okay, and it ain't like something catastrophic or anything like that. It's just something that we haven't seen much of. And what am I talking about here? They're forecasting a geomagnetic storm to last longer than 24 hours straight. Okay, we haven't seen that in a while. And then if you've seen the title of the live stream here, which you probably have if you clicked on it, this is the longest forecasted geomagnetic storm of this sun cycle so far. Typically, you'll get a couple breaks in there, like a couple of these time spots here would just be down in like a 4 or something like that. No, this is supposed to start late in the day tomorrow, and it came from hey Johnny, what's up? And it came late in the day tomorrow night, probably around remember that's UTC time. So if you're on the East Coast, that's roughly about 4 a.m. for you. Am I going backwards there? Hold on a minute here. Yeah, yeah, that would be roughly, oh goodness, yeah, 8 your time. So 8 p.m. Right? I went the wrong way. Sorry. I guess I forgot what direction our Earth was rotating. I've been accused of that before, and I'm not even kidding. But anyway, we'll just keep moving. But so that is definitely something that we need to address, because this is significant, and not only is it a longer lasting storm, it's at least a G2 at certain times of the day. Now this is NOAA's forecasting. The NASA spiral, their model also is showing a side glancing blow from a CME that happened on the 28th. And I'll explain more as we get moving here, because the combination, that's good, bud. You go do your thing, man. Awesome stuff over there, guys. Go check Johnny out over at Chase the Heat. But listen, we got a big coronal hole. Big coronal hole and a CME all at the same time. And that's kind of what's going to be pushing this up into geomagnetic storm levels, right? So right now as we speak, there's nothing geomagnetically going on. Okay, you can see that here with the KP index. The KP of 5 would be the first level of storming, right? Goes to a G1 there, in case people don't know that. But as I'm looking here, you can see that we're only going 1s and 2s mainly right now. We just don't have that much geomagnetism hanging around our planet. Okay? And that's okay. we need some of it. Actually, this is kind of good. When it's doing this, it means we're kind of balanced out and we're able to deflect cosmic rays good. And it just is what it is, right? But when they get into storm level, even low level storming, even a 6 and low end at 7, some of that stuff that happens during those kinds of geomagnetic storms is cool. Like really awesome looking aurora. I mean, that's one of the main things that we can look at to say, hey, yeah, we got some geomagnetism hitting us. Is the fact that we're getting aurora, and especially when it gets down to mid-latitude, which simply means it's closer to the equator, okay, wherever you're at in the world. Mid-latitudes for the United States would probably start right at the border of Canada. Anything lower than that would be considered mid-latitude. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of perspective on what I'm talking about there. High latitude means you're moving closer to the poles, and that's true for the southern hemisphere also, okay? I know we don't talk about that a whole lot here. I try to because I got a lot of friends and stuff that come here that are from, Australia, New Zealand, all that. So I do try to include that. I don't always succeed at that, but, I do try. But as right now, X-rays, that's what we see when we see sunspots explode off with flares. The flaring produces X-ray, so that's what you get there. Now, there was a large sunspot on the back of the sun that was basically changing the whole vibration of the sun itself. And because there's seismic activity on the sun, and they use this seismic activity to actually map out the back of the sun to be able to see if there are sunspots back there. They're using seismic activity to be able to map this stuff out because we don't have eyeballs on it back there, right? So they've come up with a format to where they can do that, and they're getting pretty accurate with it, okay? And it is one of those, yeah, it's accurate. It's not completely accurate, obviously, but it's pretty close. And people have a hard time understanding, how can you have an earthquake and it's not an earthquake, right? It's seismic activity, right? What is Earth? Earth is dirt. It's what you stand on, right? It's part of a rock. There is none of that on the sun. So there can be seismic activity without having those materials. So anyway, there's actually, guys, there's a lot of people that follow like earthquake activity on Mars, believe it or not. That's a lot of bigger, highly educated space weather people actually, pay attention to that. And it's interesting if you guys ever get a chance to go check them out. But yeah. Oops, didn't mean to hit that. Yeah, and I don't expect to have a whole lot of people here because this is not a time I typically stream. But something that was a little bit different than what I had been seeing, radiation storm percentage, the chances of that happening was actually elevated a little bit. I don't think we're going to have one. We did kind of bump up a little bit here. See that? This is the graph we look at to see if we're having increased protons, which equates to radiation storms. Okay, you see a little elevation here, and it kind of tapered back off. That's kind of hit and miss when we get those. Yeah, so those are hard to actually kind of forecast out. So yeah. Now this is just a quick glance here. We got a sunspot right here in front of us. I get a lot of questions on this. You could probably fit 2 Earths inside that thing. Okay. Not much more than that. It's still a pretty, if you think about it, 2 Earths. That's a pretty big magnetic disruption if you want to look at it that way. And back here too. Now this sunspot that's cresting over here, you can kind of see little white lines here. This thing is the one that actually was producing the seismic activity that they were saying was changing the whole vibration of the sun. Now, we've been talking about that for a minute now. I've talked about it, and people are using the term, changing the whole vibration of the sun so they get your attention. There's nothing wrong with doing that, as long as you don't upplay it when you start talking about it, right? But it does need to be said in those kinds of terms right now, especially at the beginning, because that's a newer kind of model that we have that we need to draw attention to. So it's okay to say that, right? It's not really clickbaiting if people use that in their titles and people come there as long as they talk about it. We have to say things and do things a little bit different sometimes to get people to come watch. So that's why that happens. I didn't do any of that, but it is what it is. So this is this is Noah's version of the spiral model. Let me oh, and while I'm clicking this over, can you guys hit that like button for me, please? I'm trying to get out a little bit more, yeah. So I'll just say that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so this is the Enlil spiral. So what you're looking at here, this is a top-down view of our inner solar system. This is a side cut, and this whole top section is density, right? And then down here it's the solar wind speed. So what you're looking at, this didn't look like this yesterday, okay? This forecast 2 days behind us, and it tries, well, historic data shows us 2 days behind us, and then it tries to forecast out 5 days in advance. See what you're seeing right here? This is what they're saying is going to be giving us the geomagnetic storm. Now notice that the density over here is 10 to 30, okay? That scale changes accordingly. Sometimes you'll come over here, it'll say 1 to 10. Other times you'll come over here and it'll say 10 to 100. So, that's just how they do it. So anyway, you can see the CME here. So let me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and run this model so you guys can see it. And I'm going to just kind of pause it and grab the slide bar for you. And so watch the density, because that's usually where you can see a CME pop off, right? On this model anyway. You can see it down here on the velocity too. It's just not as intense looking, I should say. So watch what happens here. See that fire off? And you even got a secondary one that fired off behind it. Okay, this is important to know because I'm going to show you something on the NASA model here in just a second. Okay, this one is showing you two different CMEs. Now they're probably, both of them are closely related. It probably just disrupted that part of the sun enough that it fired another smaller one right here. Okay, so as we progress in time here, you see how it's coming right at Earth, and right there. Now notice you get kind of a double looking thing here, right? We talk about double taps all the time, and it's kind of what this model's suggesting. You can kind of see that. Now it's from a coronal hole stream also. And I'm going to show that to you. It's easy to see, but you can see this thing hit. There's no doubt about this one hit, and I think this one is going to hit. Now there's an outside chance it might not. Now it might not equate to 24 hours of storming. We don't know that yet. That's just what they're forecasting, right? So we kind of got to wait. But that model's showing that. Now let me show you the NASA model that is the same thing. See how you're only seeing one CME right here? And it's very, very small. And it's not really doesn't look all that intense. That's the second CME that you've seen here. The first one is not on that model anymore. It was. Okay? But when this one updates, it goes to the current CME, the latest CME that it had. That it's seen and noticed. Alright? So that's what happened there. I'll just leave it at that. There's in other words, there's another CME ahead of that one that this model's showing. But even this one, this smaller one, is showing that it's got a chance of giving us a glancing blow. Even the small one. Now the bigger one, I don't think there's any doubt that's actually going to hit. It's going to be kind of a sideways thing, but it's not going to be like really far sideways. Kind of in the middle between a pretty decent like direct hit, and then it's not really brushing by, it's kind of really side swiping, if you want to use those kinds of terms. Here is the Discover data. Okay, you got density here. Remember my last video, I showed you guys we had density up towards 100. It's very dense, and that's why we went into that geomagnetic storm, a G2, so quickly. It was a massive dense hit. Okay, so yeah. But as we watch this, nothing's really too elevated right now. And again, I look for tomorrow sometime, these conditions will start to change. Okay? And once they do, we know that stuff's happening. And I'll definitely probably try to pop on and let you guys know. This is ISWA. And so what this is doing is, this is going to show you sunspots and their polarity, right? So let me zoom in a little bit more here for you. So this sunspot grouping was big. Okay, this one's already survived one full lap around the sun. Okay, and it's getting ready. It's starting to rotate off now again. This is back on the 26th. So as I grab this, okay, see where it's at now? This is where it's at now. Now we're going to have this bigger sunspot back here that was changing things. Hey, Linda, what's up? Hey, Brittany. Yes. Just saying. Anyway, see, that kind of squirreling just real quick is okay. I'm still staying on point here. So I'm trying, guys. I'm trying, I promise. So if I go over here to spaceweather.com, and they do such a great job over here, Dr. Tony Phillips is awesome. I've never talked to him, right? It's just, I think this is a great source for people to come to. So if we go back to the 27th, you see what I did there, right? You just come over here, hit the drop down box, go back to whatever date you want to see. I think this is cool because there's not a whole lot of websites that report on this. That's not like a government agency or a school that will give you this kind of an option to go backwards and see the whole thing, what was posted back that day. So again, you do that, and all you gotta do is hit view, and boom, here it is. This is what he was reporting on back on the 27th. Notice what you're seeing there. You're seeing the satellite hit that asteroid. Okay, that's the dust cloud that it produced, and this was seen from telescopes on the planet, here on the surface. Okay, so you know that was actually pretty impressive that we've seen something like that from down here. Yeah, and it wasn't, guys. Listen, you know how big is a satellite? It's not that big, is it? So even that kind of thing can show you. Now it's still out for the jury to decide whether or not this thing has really changed trajectory, because that's the goal of doing that. But I'm not going to talk about that much more. But he talks about the far side sunspot here too. So please come over here and read this stuff and give him some love, you know. So if I hit this is going to give you that seismic model, right? So anything here in the gray, this is right here, is this. What I just showed you, okay? That's this. That's the front. See? You guys see that, right? I mean, I know it might be kind of hard to wrap your brain around that, just because it's horizontal, and then you have a circle or a globe that you're looking at here. But it is the same thing. It's showing you polarity. So obviously this is from a visual or any kind of data we can get from this side of the sun. You can't get that back here. So this is why this looks a little different. But do you see this? This is how they're mapping this out. Right? This is a large sunspot. Compare it to what's out here now. It's very similar in size to this one. So that's what's happening. Yeah, 100%, Brittany. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really what I try to do. Try to show everybody how to look at this stuff for themselves and really just have a basic understanding of what the model's trying to show you. Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate that. I really do. It really does. That kind of, it really does. I appreciate when I get comments like that. It's what keeps me going, just so you know. But you can see right here that it is very similar to this. So you can understand how it could change the whole vibration of the sun. And again, I understand that that's almost an overstatement, but it's not, because it's true. It's a impressive statement, I guess I should say. Right? But that's what it is. So I just think it's cool that they can use basically, I don't want to call it earthquake because it's not Earth. Just seismic activity to be able to see what's on the backside of the sun. It's really cool. I mean, I would have obviously I would never have thought of anything like that. But these guys are what they get paid for, right? That's why they're making the big bucks. So let's back that off. Now let me show you what's going to be giving us the geomagnetic storm. All right, and obviously, guys, I've shown you guys sunspots so many times, or coronal holes. This is it's a big one. I'm just going to say it. That's a big sunspot. And the corona is not sunspot, coronal hole. Sorry. Hey, Jeffrey. So anyway, the corona's opened up and exposed the surface like completely right there. So not only do we have the coronal hole here and here, this right here would probably be one big coronal hole if this sunspot was not there. Okay? Because that's actually you can see where it's kind of made a bridge between that. Now this sunspot is what gave us the CME that's going to be joining with the coronal hole stream and giving us the geomagnetic storm here on the 1st of October. End of the day on tomorrow night, and then into the whole day on October 1st. And they haven't forecasted out to the next day yet. So it could even go past that. Hey, Russell. Hey, good to see you, Seeds of Light. Now, as you see this right here, I'm going to roll this back. Now, remember, a coronal hole, when that opens up, and it lets high-speed, high-dense particles just flow out. And it gets to us by a magnetic connection line that we have with the sun. Right? It travels on that line because I had this question in the comment section. It's plasma, and plasma is charged gas. So when you add that word charged in there, you're insinuating that it has a polarity, which is negative or positive. Without that, it doesn't really move. Okay? It's not like wind, like when we go outside and you put the drop top down like the rap song says, and you just hit the road, right? No, that's not what this is. That's not how this works. It's not high to low pressure moving oxygen and nitrogen, any of the stuff that's in our atmosphere. It's not high to low pressure movement of those molecules. This is different. This is moving much like electricity moves. Okay? It's not exactly the same, but it's much like that. If anybody's ever taken an electrical class at any specific time, they will tell you, believe it or not, it acts a lot like water. They use a lot of the water terms, believe it or not. You can take amperage and equate it to a certain word when you're talking about the flow of water. And I'm not going to get into detail here. And again, I'm not going to throw a bunch of word salad at you guys. But so you got this stuff happening with the big coronal hole. And then you got a CME that popped off here. And so let me show you that. And right now, did you guys see that shake? See that? Now, what's interesting is, as you see that, okay, if you look at the time frame of that, and then we go back here, that's 28, right? On the 28th, right around 10 UTC, okay? And then the satellite itself kind of jiggles. See that? Right around 12. So let's go back here and let's take a look what was going on. Not a whole lot of nothing, right? But let me show you this. Let me get back to that page. Wrong one. Okay. But the same time, this is SDO, right? This is the one that is geosynchronistic orbit right out in front of our planet looking at the sun. Well, we have another satellite that's in a similar position, but not the same exact position. It's called SOHO, and we look at the LASCO C2, right? So that would be this one down here. So I got you guys right here. It's the 28th. Same time frame, but this satellite is about 1 million miles closer to the sun than what that other satellite was. So let me back that off. Now watch. I want you guys to see this. See that? That little boop. You see that? Most people are going to miss this. All right. Does this really matter? Well, it shows you that actually we had some kind of space weather that was affecting anything close to us. So what I'm saying is, you see that little boop, right? Look at the time. That's at 11:36. When did the SDO hit? Right around 12, right? That right there. Look at the time. Okay, why is there an hour or two discrepancy? Remember what I said about this one. This one's closer to the sun, so it hit this one first. And then it hit this one. And guess what? It even hit stereo A. Imagine that. A third satellite. Watch. See that? Same thing. Okay, so it hit all three satellites. I just thought that was really cool to show you guys, because when I look at stuff and I think something might be a little off or kind of odd, you have to go look at other things. You have to go look at the other satellites to confirm what you think might be happening. You can't just look at one and make some big, huge claim. You can't do that. Anybody that, that's out there doing that, please stop. Because you're not doing yourself any favors and you're confusing your viewers. You really are. I used to do it. That's how I know. And that's why I want to try to help. I used to be that person that did that. I would look at the satellite, think something was all crazy, and there's really an explanation for it, especially when you see it on two other satellites. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we have to do to kind of look at this stuff. We want to be, get as much credibility into what we're talking about as we can. And when you don't do that, you lose credibility really, really fast. At least to people that are paying attention. And I'm not saying this to be kind of like confrontational or whatever here. I really, truly want people to understand, I take criticism, just like I did, with changing what I'm doing here. Doing all the space weather at the beginning. That was an issue. I recognize it. Now I'm pointing out an issue that other people have, that I used to have. So please try to fix that for yourself. It's not as big of a deal if you look at it and you think that, and then you don't come out on the internet and start telling it to everybody. Because then it's just what you believe, right? But when you're telling other people and presenting it as fact, there's kind of you really have to have a little bit more responsibility there, is what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm not saying people can't make mistakes, because I make them all the time. But the difference is, I leave them up. I let people see it, and I try to grow from it. And I'm trying to help the people that see my mistakes to learn from my mistakes, so they don't have to make the same ones. So that's just kind of what I'm saying, right? And again, just try to do that. What's it going to hurt? If you think something's odd and you go look at it, and then something points you to, well, hey, maybe that wasn't odd. And then you start digging down that hole and you figure out, well, yeah, that was probably not all that odd, so I just won't talk about it. There's plenty of other stuff to talk about, guys. I promise. We don't have to play, the sun's going to do enough. Space weather is going to do enough. We don't have to play it up, okay? Please, just try your best not to do that. And again, I'm not saying you have to hold true to any kind of mainstream ideas or anything like that. I'm just saying, please do that. Do your due diligence when it comes to this stuff. And when people show you the stuff, at least consider it, is what I'm trying to say. I'm open to criticism, and I hope that people that are listening to what I'm talking about here are also. That's the only way we get better. So anyway, that's where I'll leave that. Now, I know that wasn't exactly space weather, but it was, because we're talking about the tools that we look at. So anyway, so let's go over here to seeds. Now again, this is LASCO C2. I'm just going to hit start. Now this is on the 28th. And you can see that CME popping off right there. Okay, and I'll pause it right about there, and you can see it really good on the coronagraph here on the left. Oops. Right there. Okay. So that's when that all hit, all at the same time, right? But that's what happened. Something happened there to all three satellites. Could this intensify weather patterns? Most certainly it can, hyperspeed. It's a great question. Awesome question, by the way. You know, anything that's going to add energy to our system can affect our weather, and most certainly does. And I would argue the fact that the sun is the single most thing there that affects our weather. Good, bad, or indifferent. Okay? Energy in has to mean energy out. Physics doesn't work any other way. Okay? If you just remember that simple rule that a lot of people forget. Energy in has to mean energy out somewhere. Yeah, Major, it was actually, it wasn't a huge one, but it looked pretty big. It was pretty big in size, I guess, if you want to use those terms. Now, again, this is stereo way. You're not going to see much here. So, now, we'll be looking at this more often here. This is magnetopause model, magnetosphere. This starts to react when we get hit with geomagnetism, stuff from the sun, solar wind, CMEs, all that stuff. This one here is usually the one people like to look at because everybody understands magnetic pressure. Everybody understands that word pressure. And this is a good one to look at, just so you know. If I grab it, you kind of see it's kind of hanging around the same kind of intensity right now. Why? Well, no geomagnetism right now, guys. Nothing odd's happening at this moment. Okay? So if I go to the geoelectric field model, you're going to notice this one's going to calm down in relation to the magnetopause model I just showed you guys. These two, when they start moving, if one of these starts moving, you can bet your bottom dollar that this other one's going to have some movement also. Okay? And you can see, now this is to try to bridge a gap between space weather and earthquakes. Do you notice how you got the USGS stamp down here? So they're trying to figure out how space weather, they know it has an effect. Okay, 100% has an effect. But they're trying to find out exactly how to be able to use it in their forecasting. That's why this model's even here. And what this is showing you is space weather's effect on artificial electrical components, transformers, wires, outlets, anything that isn't natural. Okay? Switching your laundry, you got clean clothes? Man, I'll tell you, maybe you could, teach my kids how to do that. Tell you. Anyway, so we'll take a look at the earthquakes, guys, because we did have a decent sized one down here. And obviously, Ron over at Emergency Management Associates talked about it. I think Dutch did a video on it also. There's been just a lot of upticked, decent size earthquakes. Okay, we're talking 5.5 greater. There you go. There you go. Hey, I taught my kids, but getting them to do it's another story. Okay, Squirrel. Come on, Squirrel. Get back on track. We're almost done with the space weather. All right. So, anyway, that's the earthquake part of it. Go watch those guys. Emergency Management Associates, Dutch. Anybody else that does earthquake stuff, they're going to know more than I do. Okay? Just as simple as that. I just want to let you guys know that there were earthquakes here. Okay? And, I did see a pretty good explanation. I can't remember which one was talking about it. But how it follows the tectonic plates and stuff here, or the fracture lines, the fault lines. When you get one here, one down here kind of makes sense. If you were to take the globe, and set it on its side, you could kind of see more this way. Back at you, Bun Master. Back at you. So, when you get a big one on one side of these plates, typically another one's going to happen on the other side. I can't remember who was talking about this. I'm sorry, guys. I can't remember which one was talking about it. I watch so much stuff, it's just, it kind of blends together sometimes. But they gave the explanation of that. If it happens on one side of the plate, it's going to happen on the other, most likely, if you follow these lines down to the other side of it. So that's exactly what happened. So, you know, whoever said that got it right. That's for sure. Now, let's go here. This is Track the Tropics, obviously, guys. If you guys don't know about this website, please do. This is one of those things I think everybody should have in their tool belt, if I could use that word. And we'll post it here in the live chat for you. There it is. Guys, this is really nothing more than just a hub of any kind of weather model that you want to look at. Okay? From different agencies, from different channels. A lot of NOAA stuff on here. Windy.com's on here. I think the GOES satellite system is on here. I think there's some Weather Channel stuff on here, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Not sure. But we'll take a look at a couple of these. I do want to show you the track of this, what they're expecting now. They are expecting the track of Ian to do what you see here. Okay, it's getting ready to. Matter of fact, I think it's just about offshore again. Now I'm not sure exactly how much it's supposed to intensify. I would assume that's going to intensify some because it's back out over water. But notice how it's hooking back in. Now I live in Indiana, right? So when Katrina came in, we actually got a lot of rain where I was at in Indiana, because this cone track is important to pay attention to, even if you don't live in a hurricane area, guys. Okay, because these hurricanes, they're gigantic low pressure systems. That's what they are. And we talk about low pressure systems coming down from the north all the time, causing the reaction between the Gulf Stream and the stuff coming down from the North Stream. When it hits each other here at the States, that's what causes a lot of our weather. That's why we have Tornado Alley here. That's one of the reasons. So I'm not going to go into detail. I was pretty much a weather nut when I was a kid. I was deathly afraid of tornadoes. Not anymore. I love them now. I think they're cool to look at. I would love to go chase them. And I might do that. You can actually get vacations and go do that. It would be cool. I'm thinking about doing it. But I mean, I was seriously deeply afraid. And believe it or not, guys, it started from my grandma. My grandma, when she was a kid, was coming down the steps of her house, and a ball of lightning came through the door. It blew the door up. It blew a big hole in the door, and it dissipated and actually grounded out right before it got to my grandma. And it like fried the banister, caught it on fire and everything else. So it made my grandma so afraid of thunderstorms. And what happened was that bled down to my mother. And then guess what? Hit the grandkid right here. So, my mom was so afraid of them, man. We'd have big storms. We'd be coming in from the car to get to the house. She would run inside and shut the door, not thinking, and leave me outside on the porch. I laugh about it now, but man, when I was 8, 9 years old, I wasn't laughing. And, she had a real fear. So I have no hard feelings there. She really did. She took care of me in such a great way, protected me so much. So for her to do that, that's why I bring this up. For her to do that, you gotta understand how fearful she actually was. Okay? Just saying. But because of that, guess what? I grabbed the positive from it. I love weather now, and I was able to learn about it in a way that made me understand it better than most. And, I think, obviously, guys, I'm a Christian, and I think God works in a whole lot of different ways. And I think this is one of those ways. By the way, guys, the space weather stuff's over for today. I mean, we can go back and talk about it if you want. But what's the timestamp here? I'm going to start posting a timestamp for everybody, too. So about 35, 40 minutes in, I'm going to post it and let everybody know that the space weather stuff, the main part of it's going to stop there. That way people don't, they know where to go look. Anyway, we bought a trailer, right, when me and my wife first got married. And we lived in that trailer for almost 3 years. And if there was ever something to say for, not being able to swim and just getting thrown into the pool, that's what that did for me with thunderstorms. Okay? We always hear how bad it is to be in some big thunderstorms if you're in a trailer. I lived in one for 3 years. And believe me, that was hell. That was hell for me because of that. But on the other side of it, guess what? I learned that there was nothing to be afraid of. We react the right way when you're in, buildings like that. But you don't have to be fearful of it. That's what I'm saying is that's full circle. From my grandma being so scared down to my mom to me that I had the same fear, but I was able to beat that. And guess what? Because of that, my kids love thunderstorms. All 3 of them. So, so when you beat some of your fears, understand that you can say everything and anything you want to your kids. Don't be afraid of this. Don't be afraid of that. But if you're showing them something different with your actions, they will know it. And they will pick up on that. So just know that. So I actually, I beat that. And I was able to, I live in a house now and stuff. We have a basement and all those things. And those did help to kind of calm me down a little bit. But I was a person that wouldn't even get in the car and go anywhere if I thought it was going to storm. Not anymore, man. I go get in my beater and I go chase the suckers. Not that that's a smart thing to do. It's just what I like to do. It's fun. So that's a little personal whatever for you guys. Let's see here. I also heard of lights in the sky last night over Fort Myers. Anyone see any of that? I don't know. Obviously that's where the hurricane came in, very close to there. I did see some damaged photographs, actually of trailers, roofs and stuff getting blown by. Back at you, Cheryl. But, guys, I also heard I watched the newscast, and it was a internet newscast, and the guy was talking about how he'd been through Hurricane Michael, Irma, and all these other big hurricanes, because there's only 4 other hurricanes that were in recorded history that hit the states of this strength. Okay, 4 other ones bigger. It came in, when it came on shore, obviously it was a Cat 4, really close to a Cat 5, but regardless, he was saying, and I think this guy was pretty much pointing towards how much better building codes have gotten in areas like this, because he was saying that a lot of the wind damage that he's seen with, like, I think he said Michael, was so much worse because the building codes weren't as good. And because they were asking what kind of damage they were seeing, and he said he didn't really see catastrophic damage till he actually got inland a little bit, believe it or not, because the stuff that was being built, over towards the beach and stuff, the building codes were different, so they didn't have to have such a strong, sturdy structure. So when that came in, it actually destroyed stuff further inland more so than it did closer to the beach. So that's another issue that's kind of poking its head up now that they're going to probably have to address. And building codes can be done by your state, or they can be done, usually they're done, obviously, I'm not sure if there are any federal building codes. There might be. But I know there's state building codes, and there's also local building codes that you have to abide by. And, okay, thanks, Murph Dog. He said that sideways globe view was from Dutch Sense. Thanks, Murph. Appreciate you, bud. when I was talking about the earthquake and how it goes around the plate. But yeah, I do remember that now that you say that, Murtaugh. So anyway, that's what happened down there. Now, again, look, when this comes in, this is going to dump a bunch of rain. And actually, they were forecasting a lot more rain with this one, but I think it's sped up a little bit more than what the models were showing, because it was supposed to stall out right here for a very long period of time. And it's not doing that. As you can see over here on this model right here, you can see how the eye is almost already offshore. The cloud cover itself is actually, over here on the west coast of Florida over here, doesn't look like there's hardly any clouds. They might be seeing sun over here. So that's what I'm saying. It was supposed to stall out down here and really just dump a bunch of rain. And it did dump a bunch of rain, because it is still moving slow, but it's not doing what they thought. So here's the radar part of it. And again, it looks like the eye might be just offshore now. So here's your wind field. That's how far out. This is tropical storm wind field. Doesn't look like they're showing any hurricane winds now. So it might be downgraded enough now. It's just like a tropical storm. But it'll probably pop off here, and it might intensify again. I don't know. I haven't looked. So I'm not going to say one way or the other. My guess is it'll intensify at least a little. But here you can kind of get a better, if this is current, it might not be though. What's that say? Yeah, it's pretty current. So it does look like the eye might still be on shore. So again, just pay attention, guys. Just pay attention. That's all we can do. We can pray for those people. I wish we could do more for them, but that's all we can. And if you can support them with any kind of emergency stuff down there, I would encourage people to do that, because these are real people. Whatever you guys think about government agencies, it doesn't matter to me in this instance. Okay? These are our people. So whatever you can do to help, I would suggest trying to do it. I would, if you can't, you can't. And if you can't, don't. That's a good rule to have. I know people say you got to help yourself before you help other people. Well, that's true to an extent, in my opinion. You can help yourself by helping other people also. And that's what we talk about over on the lifeboat. And you know what I'm saying there, guys. Just so you know, when I'm helping other people stay sober, I'm doing it for myself too. Because it keeps me strong. Keeps me accountable. It keeps me focused on what I need to be focused on. Been clean for 11 years or sober, however you want to view it. I'm not going to go into details here. Oh, that's a cool one. Check that out. That's the microwave imagery. I don't know that I've ever seen that one. That particular one. I've seen microwave energy models before. Check that out. That's cool. So when it came off of Cuba. That's really cool. I like that. Anyway, so yeah, so let me do this real quick. I should have done this already, but I usually have this already set and ready to go. I am going to shout out my other channel, guys. Over on the lifeboat, you guys know that's my second passion, guys. I mean, that's just is what it is. It's a co-passion, I should say. It's just as important to me as this is. Okay. But we did a show on guilt a couple days ago. We're going to be going live tomorrow night. All right. We go live every night. Not every night, but Friday night through Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We are live. It is a live call-in show. We talk about a whole, the biggest subject you can. And if you think fentanyl isn't a crisis, my boy Flamin' Jackson sent me a text message today with a link on it. And I'm going to read it to you real quick because it applies. Okay? This just kind of floored me a little bit. The DEA seizes 36 million lethal doses of fentanyl. Did you hear that? 36 million. If that doesn't surprise people or wake them up, I don't know what to say. So, yeah. Oh, really? Really, fan of Phlegophill. Yeah, that's, you know, me and Tommy, well, Tommy started the channel, and then I kind of came in about a month later, and we turned it into a live stream, and it's just, yeah. But yeah, fentanyl's everywhere in the Raven. It definitely is, it's bad. Okay, now they're saying that that was from, was it March through now? That's how much has been seized. Okay. And here's another issue I'm going to bring up, and that issue is this. There's something called rainbow pills too now, and what they're doing, guys, is they're taking fentanyl and there's something called a pill press, and they make pills look exactly like they look when you go buy them from the store, from a pharmacy. Okay, but they're coming in all different colors and stuff now too, and you know, there's only one reason to do that. That's because they're going to target kids. That's the only reason to make them different colors like that, as far as like looking like a bag of Smarties or something like that. Your mind automatically goes to that, so you make yourself kind of open up right away because of that. And it's unfortunate because our kids are dying from it because they don't think there's anything wrong with it. They don't understand what's in it, and sometimes they're taking these pills. They don't know it's fentanyl at all. That's the majority of it. They think there might be a Xanax, or they think it might be, you know, whatever else kids are taking or whatever at the time. But you throw fentanyl on top of that, it's a deadly combination. You know, the latest numbers were like 150,000 people overdosed on fentanyl. There is something in the government's now being worked on, and it's actually been put in place in a few places, I think, that now when somebody dies from an overdose on fentanyl, they are now in some areas considering that a homicide. Did you hear me? A homicide. What that means is they can now go after the drug dealers and get them for murder. Okay? That's the purpose of that. Now, there is something I didn't think about till I think Tommy agrees with me on what I just said there. I think it's a good, kind of a good move or whatever. It's a move that I think isn't so bad to do. But there is something else that people need to consider. That, say you're somebody's best friend and you had these pills, right? And they were laced with fentanyl and you guys didn't know it, and you gave some to your friend. Your friend passes away from an overdose of fentanyl, and you guys didn't know it was, but now because you gave it to your friend, they can charge you with murder. Or at least involuntary manslaughter. Okay? So that is another angle to look at. But I do think that the biggest thing for me is, guys, there's now conversations being had. And that's what we've always wanted. We have to talk about it. Yes, they're putting it in weed. Guys, they're sprinkling fentanyl in the bags of weed our kids are smoking. If that doesn't freaking just piss you off, it should. Because kids are dying and not knowing why. Okay? So we got to pay attention to that. You know, THC on the surface, yes, it looks all, you know, if it is what it is, yeah, it's pretty harmless. But because of that, we need to be passing out test strips. They're doing it now everywhere. So if anybody's listening to me and they buy that stuff off the street, please get you some fentanyl test strips and test it. Test it, please. You don't want to have something bad happen that you weren't expecting. You know what I mean? When somebody's a fentanyl addict and they put that stuff in their body, they know, right? We're talking about kids that might be experimenting for the first time. We had 5 kids pass away up close to Chicago, here in Indiana. It was in South Bend, over that exact same situation I just told you. They bought a bag of weed off of somebody, And 2 of those kids had never smoked it before, ever in their life. It was the first time they had ever tried it, and all 5 of them died. That pisses me off. I'm sorry, I just gotta quit. Yeah, it gets me fired up because I know how dangerous it is. Sorry about my language there. I don't mean to do that. It's just, it really does get me upset. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I know we can beat this. And I know I have a lot of tools to help people. Tommy's the same way. He was a heroin addict for 30 years. The family over there, guys, is the same thing you get here. We don't judge people. If people are drunk, if people are high, we want them in our chat. We want them there. We want to help. You can't help fentanyl addicts if you don't let a fentanyl addict come into your chat room. I mean, come on. Give me a break, people. I don't understand how that's not understandable. Sorry, I need to calm down. Apologize. Anyway, I know we're past the space weather part, and that's why I'm doing this right now. But please, guys, go check us out over here. If you just want to learn, because guys, I know I say if you got family members that are fighting it, or if you know anybody fighting it, let me tell you something. Everybody knows somebody now that is fighting this. So everybody can benefit from coming over here. So that's a good thing, Scan family. That's an awesome thing. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, let's see here. I'm gonna click on this one. This is our last live stream we did. Okay, I'm just gonna share this one, and it is the link to the channel is definitely in my description box. But here's a link to that video. Also, I had my counselor come in and did a show with us, and guess what? That was one of the best shows we ever had. Let me show you. Also, if you guys, I know I'm here, and I know you guys care about me and all that, and that's why I've also done some shows here talking about what I did. Okay, this is locked up. No, it's not. Okay. So what you could do if you wanted to know my story a little bit more in detail, you could go back and I'll show them to you here in a second. But if you guys just watch one video over here, the ones that we've done lately, it would be this one. This is my counselor, and my gosh, she lost her son 2 years ago to an overdose. She fought an alcohol addiction. And it was just one of the most powerful things I'd ever seen in my life. She showed a picture of her son at 11 years old. And, yeah. Said if she'd have known that was going to be middle age for him, things would have been a little different. And if that ain't powerful, I don't know what is. As a matter of fact, I did this the other day too. I showed it to you guys. She really wanted to show her son. And she's a good mama. Look, there he is. And that helps people put it in perspective. That could be your child. So anybody that doesn't, have any knowledge of any of this stuff, and you want to know to help protect your kids, your grandkids, please come over here. If you need help, we'll get you some help. We do. That's what we do. So please come over here and watch this one. And the other thing I will show you here real quick before I go ahead and end the stream. If you guys want to know my story, I'm down here too. Okay. I'll scroll down here. I had a bout with suicide. It's been years ago. Been almost 15 years, but I shared it right here. I didn't realize I still had an issue with this as far as talking about this. When I shared this and I talked about this on the show, it destroyed me for like 3 weeks. It really did. And I couldn't figure out why I was feeling so stupid in my head and everything else. And this is why. that very next day, it really hit me. So I shared a lot of personal stuff in this, guys. I'm transparent when it comes to this stuff. So if you want to know more about, that's me, by the way. You want to know more? Yeah, they call me bobblehead because Tommy, look, my face isn't on the on screen all the time, but I'm always shaking my head yes. So, yes, if you're wondering about the Bible, come study with Hilly on Saturdays. Great channel, guys. Go check him out. Great Bible study. But yeah, guys. So I shared my stuff here, and then if you want to know my addiction story, it's down here too. Let's see if I can find it real quick for you. Yeah, these two videos here. Okay. People ask me how I've stayed sober for over 11 years. And I said this before here even. If you knew my wife, my kids, my mom and dad, my sister and her family, you wouldn't even have to ask me that question. They're why. Cool, fan. That's awesome. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and end it. So, guys, go check out everybody else, Marfugal, everybody else I talk about. And I hope that you guys are appreciating. I'm putting all the space load there at the beginning. So please spread the word on that. I'm going to let everybody know for the next few videos that that's what I'm going to be doing from here on out, putting all the space load there at the beginning, and try not to go into the stuff like I did here at the end, until the end. So I appreciate everybody that sticks around, and I really hope that you guys, hit that notification bell. And please just come over here and check us out on the lifeboat. Also, do the same thing. But again, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. God bless. Have a great day. I'll try to see you guys again in the next day or so. God bless. Yahusha saves. And yeah, you can drink this Kool-Aid.